Hey everyone, back here a Saturday afternoon at the New Hampshire Fishing and Outdoor Expo in Milford, New Hampshire. And I've got Captain Shiloh Patterson of Heavy Metal Outfitters here with us. Thanks, bud. Glad to join us.
I'm glad to be here.
Cool. Why don't you tell us what you're all about? Hey, came up with your name, and what do you do for guide service?
So I used to play guitar in a heavy metal band in Albany area in New York, and we graduated from guitars to fishing. I've always fished, but I ended up starting my charter business or guide service, and I couldn't come up with a name.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to find anything I could that had to do with a bobber and a reel, and everybody was already taken. So,
Sure.
I wanted to be a steelhead guide first.
Yeah.
And so heavy metal kind of came up with like the steelhead vibe to it, and then I looked it up on the internet, couldn't find it, and I said, there it is.
There you go.
That's me.
Cool stuff. Well, I grew up as a metalhead in high school myself. A lot of people don't think that because I listen to Made in the Country today, but I can turn it to twist it up too. So I love the name. So where do you guide and what do you do, my man?
So I offer drift boat trips on the Salmon River, and I also do walk-ins for brown trout all through western New York in the late fall. And then we also run a charter out of Mexico Bay and Salmon Country Marina.
Perfect. Good. Why go out to the West End Tribs? What's the big key with that?
The brown trout fishing in the Tribs is it's way better.
Gotcha.
Way better. Not really sure why, other than we just spent a lot of times on the charters on the browns on the East End. So I don't know if we just beat them up too bad. The West End guys tend to get off the browns earlier and go to the Kings. So I think they get a better return.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt that those West End Tribs tend to get better runs of that fall spawning time with the browns, and everybody asks me how many browns you get on the Salmon River, and I said, it's mainly a steelhead. You know as well as I do, you get some local native browns that stay in the river, but it's pretty rare you get those that come up out of the lake that far.
Yeah, they're, we get into a couple a year, but, I get guys that want to target them, and that's not the place to target them.
No,
the Oswego, as you know, they get good brown runs, but the Salmon River just doesn't.
Nope. No, it's definitely, you start looking at the different substrate that the bottoms are make up, and a lot of that stuff on the West End is more softer sand bottom. I think the browns certainly like that better.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely from a spawning standpoint.
Yeah.
So what do you have for vessels?
So I got a 27-foot Baja on the lake.
Yep.
And then I run a Willie drift boat, which is a 16-foot, and I also have a raft.
Gotcha.
So we're trying to cover everything.
That raft was probably pretty important last year with the low flows.
We actually didn't run it.
No kidding.
The Willie, I only need about 3 inches of water to draft. So, we really didn't have too much of a problem.
You got lucky then. Yeah.
If you just set the boat up light, you start getting rid of the stuff you don't need.
Sure. Yep, for sure. Now, I know my old tin can, which is soon to be put in mothballs when it comes to drift boating. I'll probably use it for local lake and pond stuff in Vermont, but I'm hoping by this time next year I'm going to have my new drift boat, and I, too, thinking about where I can use it in Vermont because we have no tailwater fisheries at all. And by late June, early July, most of the snow melt water is gone. The rivers around here are pretty skinny, so it's going to be a spring tool and see where it goes from there, obviously. But where can people find you online?
So I do most of my business, believe it or not, off Facebook.
Yep.
I don't have a website anymore, and I do the shows.
There you go.
But a lot of it's word of mouth.
Sure.
So I do this part-time, and I pretty much book out.
Good for you.
I'm pretty lucky that way. I don't have to do a lot of advertising, really.
Yep.
A lot of word of mouth, a lot of repeats, and then, of course, I do the shows.
Well, 16 years of doing it now for me, and I can tell you that repeat customer is huge. It becomes almost like a family reunion a lot of times with them.
Oh, yeah. It's one thing I love about fishing. Some of my best friends I met were either clients or people that I met on the river.
You got it. Yep.
They be their client the first time, the second time they start becoming friends and almost family.
Yeah, I've had 2 different groups here today that have known me and done a bunch of charters with me and stuff, and they stop over and give me a hug. It's like family reunion time.
Absolutely.
So that's what it's all about. Where do people find you on the lake with your boat, your big charter boat?
We're right on Mexico Bay, Salmon Country Marina.
Salmon Country,
is our
gotcha.
home base.
Yep.
We have 2 camps there in Mexico. I got one that's yards from my boat. I roll out of bed, and there it is.
Good for you.
We're ready to go.
I wish I could do that. When I have a camp on Lake Champlain, it's on the Otter Creek, but it's 3 miles upriver from the lake, so I don't run the boat there very frequently. I'm usually going from launch to launch, depending on the time of year and where people want to fish, what species. So works well to be a mobile vessel. It's just a little bit more travel time from day to day. That's
A lot of people don't realize, I mean, there's a lot of full-time guides for sure that are home to an area, but I know you're the same way. We're gypsy, I call it a gypsy guide.
Yeah.
I guide all over New York.
Yep. And I find that to be productive. I think a lot of times that having a little bit different niche, it's a little bit more work, but I don't have the marina to worry about. I don't have the cost that goes with that. And by having a mobile vessel, I can literally be flexible with what people want to do from season to season.
I think as a guide and a charter captain, being mobile, for us, keeps us from being burnt out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're always changing, and I think it keeps us into it, keeps us in the game.
Yeah, I can see myself possibly changing vessels down the road, but it will never be anything bigger than 25 foot. And if not, probably a 22 or 23. My current one's 21, but it's got so much flexibility what I can do from season to season. I literally put it in the water in mid-April, and I'll guide right until I go to the deer stand November 1st.
Yep.
So it's made a big difference for me, and it's enough vessel that I can do my spring browns out in Ontario, and it'll handle anything that Champlain that most customers are comfortable to go in. Now, I've had days out there I know the Lund will handle it, but nobody's going to want to, white finger ride back to the launch. So it is what it is.
We're actually going the other way. So when you become a guide or a charter captain, the first thing you want to do is upsize. You want to go to the biggest boat you can get, and then you get it. And not that we don't love the bigger boat, but we're not as mobile on that boat.
You got it.
So now the next step is we need to find something smaller so we can get into ice out. We don't have to worry about being moored.
Yep.
It's kind of funny how it's like you try to get as big as you can, and then you revert.
Everybody does the same thing. I knew I hit a dilemma that whether I keep the Baja or I upgrade to a Trojan or Tiara size vessel, or do I stay with a small boat? And that was the decision. I went with a small boat. And I've got 3 buddies that have bigger vessels in Oswego, and I go out and fish with them and send my Lake Ontario clients that want to fish with me over the years from Oswego to them. So works out well for me. But we want to thank you very much for stopping on by here. Hoping you're having a good show and giving us a chance to chat with a little bit of everybody that's here at the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, my man. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hey there, thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to head over to newenglandoutdoorlife.com to sign up for our mailing list. And while you're at it, check out thirdalarmcharters.com. That's third with the number 3. Have a great week, and we'll see you outdoors.